And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. Another day, another show here, of course, at KKTC 99.9 True Country out of Taos, New Mexico, and Pueblo, Colorado. Out there, also powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com. And you can catch us at HighTideCountry.net streaming up there in Oklahoma City, too, as well. A place to bring you today, my featured artist, the new song out there across all the digital platforms. Guys, if you haven't checked it out already, I tell you, after the week that I've had, it'll hit you in a lot of places and get you through some tough times. Called You're an Arrow. Noelle Toland joins us here on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Of course, presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey and Honky Tonk Texas. Well, I tell you what, I want to start a little bit, as always, kind of do with the shows, getting to know you a little bit. Growing up, it seemed like you've got a little bit of a blend of that old school country sound with this modern day mix to your music now, especially with this current single now. We're going to talk a lot about the debut EP and then some. Tell us a little bit about you growing up and the inspiration country music had on you.
Yeah. I grew up in a small town in Oregon called North Plains, and I grew up listening to country radio most of the time in the backseat with my mom or dad driving, and I just loved the stories that the songs told, like Don't Take the Girl, Walk Away Joe, Neon Moon. I have an affinity for 90s country, and my dream was always to pursue country music. And I fell in love with singers like Trisha Yearwood and Faith Hill and Shania, and I've just always had this love of country music, and it really boils down to the stories that I always related to.
You know, speaking of the single, you got to do teamed up, I know, with the Women of Country for the release of that music video out there too for that single we're talking about there. You're an Arrow. Talk about that and how exciting that was, and also too to put out just a great music video with such a great song. And I got to see the YouTube video; it's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, the song "You're an Arrow" it was inspired by a Khalil Gibran poem called "On Children," and my father had sent that to me years ago. And he sent it to me during a time where I really needed to hear the sentiment behind the poem, because I think I was going through a rough time, I'm sure. And the poem is about when you have children, you are the bows from which your children go forth, and you hope they go swift and far. And this song, the story, centers around a girl calling her mom for advice when nothing is working out for her, and she feels directionless and lost and sad and needs some semblance of hope. And the mom responds by saying, "You're on your own path. The times are going to be hard. You're going to feel down, but we all are on our own journey, and you just have to keep going. And arrows only go forward. An arrow can't go backward." And so that sentiment really sat with me. And so I created this story along with my co-writer, Tyler Winther, about a girl just getting advice from her mom when she really needs it the most. And I really wrote the song for my mom. And when we did the music video, I had this idea of how could I make this video as a gift for my mom? Because my mom loves country music, and she's a big supporter of mine. And I had this idea of putting in old home videos of us when I was a baby. So I went through all my old home videos that my dad had taken and found some shots that I think related to the song the most, of just me and my mom walking when I was a baby, and her kind of throwing me on her back. And I didn't tell her about it. So I wanted it to be a surprise. So I just said, "Hey mom, I have a video coming out. You're going to like it." She likes everything. I was like, "This one's special." So when it came out, she was super excited and just over the moon. And when she called me so ecstatic about it, I thought, okay, I did my job. The job's complete. Like I made it for her. And if she's happy with it, that's all that matters. And I like to say, as an artist, my goal has always been and always will be to make people feel less alone, however I can do that. And I've been through a lot, and I know everyone has, and life isn't perfect, but I think through music and through art, we can make each other feel a little bit better. And so that's always been my aim.
And as you say that too, and that's something I'm going through this week with the loss of a family member, and it's gotten me through some tough times, and just the message of the song so much. And that's the beauty of country music that I love so much, that I hear songs come out every week, written by some of the best songwriters out there in Nashville, which has a ton of songwriters. And I'll give credit right here where credit's due to the songwriters in Nashville, and of course the artists that also pen their own songs through themselves or through collaboration, which is fantastic. But I really feel like your songwriter's right up there, but there are some great artists doing some great things right now in the industry with these songs that are coming out that are telling great stories. And that's the beauty of country music.
It's so true and so well put. I totally agree.
It's just amazing. And I see a lot of these artists now. I was going to get your opinion on the shows that are out there now with The Voice, and you look at American Idol and things like that. There are some artists that are coming out of nowhere doing their thing off of there and using platforms they may not otherwise have a chance to get on, stuff like that. What's your thought of those reality shows giving artists a chance to kind of bust out?
I love it. I think it's amazing. I just 2 nights ago, I watched a 45-minute YouTube compilation of E.M. Tongi, who won American Idol. And the time just flew by. And I said, this guy is, I watched it started with the audition where, he sang that James Blunt song for his father.
Sure.
I was uncontrollably crying. I mean, I almost hyperventilating. It was so moving. And I think those shows are amazing, and they're giving people opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have. And they're highlighting talent in people that might not get a second look. So I'm all for it.
Well, let's talk about this EP, because it did some really good things out there for you too. I'll tell you, we'll take a quick time out here for our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. We'll come back and talk about The Moon Will Pass By, which came out back in May of this year. Of course, we just had CRS 2022 getting ready for, or 2023, I should say, getting ready for CRS 2024. The album came out this past May of 2023. We'll talk about the debut EP more with Noelle Toland here. And of course, we'll have some homework. We dug up some things too as well. Her and I were talking about it before the show. We'll get her reaction on a TV show she was in that I was a huge fan of back on CBS back in the day too as well. We'll get to more of that here on the Backstage Pass. Check us out at hightidecountry.net, and of course out there, KKTC 99.9 True Country in Taos, New Mexico, and Pueblo, Colorado too. A word from our friends at Bangtail Whiskey coming back. More with Noelle Toland. It is the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And, of course, you can check us out weeknights at 10 Mountain Time over there at KKTC 99.9 True Country in Taos, New Mexico, and up into the I-25 corridor of beautiful, beautiful Colorado out there, too. Been listening to a lot of the great shows. If you missed anything, catch it there. You can also catch it at the SportsGuysPodcast.com. We'll do some sports kind of music shows out there, too, when we get a chance to. They're all archived there. YouTube, wherever you can find podcasts, and, of course, hightidecountry.net. Back here today with Noelle Toland. A couple of shows coming up tomorrow, and that'll wrap up the week here on the Backstage Pass. So got to ask you about this EP. It was very well done, I'm going to say right now, because I love it. The Moon Will Pass By came out in May of this year. Tell us all about this and how exciting it was. Not just one song. It was really cool to get 4 songs, 4 beautifully well done songs in the hands of your fans.
Oh, it's been amazing. The Moon Will Pass By is a compilation of the songs that I wrote when I first moved to Nashville. And putting it together was really an amazing experience. I wanted there to be a journey of sorts from taking chances. So the first song is I Want to See You Again, and it's all about meeting someone for the first time and not knowing really what to say to them, but all you can think of is, I want to see you again. And being bold and taking that chance, because sometimes if you don't say something like that, the person might pass you and you might not see them again, and you lose your chance of saying, how you feel. And then through going through limbo which really highlights being in a relationship or in any kind of situation in life where you're just stuck. And I think limbo is the worst place to be in anything because you're just stuck. Like, it's sometimes better just to tell me yes or no. Like, am I denied, or am I, what have you? And then and really taking control of your life and your circumstances. And then culminating with Sun Will Rise, which is about trying to find some semblance of hope when you're going through a really rough time. And I started writing that in quarantine, and I was just feeling very down and going, God, is there any end to this? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? And this image of the moon and the sun trading places really stuck with me. And I thought, okay, the bad times can't last forever. The morning has to come. I mean, that's just undeniable. There's a few things where you can debate about, but you can't. I'll tell you what, the sun's going to rise tomorrow. So that notion really stuck with me and made me feel better. And so out of all the songs, Sun Will Rise, I listened to the most, and it gave me some optimism when I needed it the most. And there's also, and then there's another, the fourth song is a cover of Poor Man's Roses, which was sung by the amazing Patsy Cline. And we did a kind of blues grassy vibe to it. And yeah, it's an amazing song. But yeah, I'm really proud of the songs, and I just hope I hope someone out there might find some solace in them as well.
There's a little bit of everything, no doubt, on that particular EP for debut out there, and there's a song for everybody too. Now, this is where I love to get fun with the show, have a little fun here, because I dug up some dirt here, and it's good stuff, no doubt. You were in a TV show that I was a huge fan of, and still am today. I guess there's a spinoff of kind of a newer version of it, but you had an appearance in a show called Criminal Minds. People might know what that's about too. Tell us all about this. We were talking before the show a little bit too, and asking if I remember, and I was like, yes, that's why I kind of brought it up, as just mentioning it out there. But tell us about your experience, the casting, the role you played through Criminal Minds, and how was your experience overall?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. A lovely show to work on. Everyone was so kind. And the role, I play a drug addict. So spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
But I remember getting the audition, and the audition was, then the description, it said junkie. And I've always loved playing characters with darker roles, because I don't have to look pretty. I can just not do my makeup or my hair and go in. And I always just feel really confident with those types of roles. So I remember getting it. I was like, okay, I got this. And I went and got some hot pink hairspray and a bunch of oil. And I just slicked my hair with oil. It was so greasy, and spray painted it pink. I was like, I got this. And obviously I did the work. I learned my lines and, did all the character work. And I remember the audition was on the lot. So it was at CBS. And so I remember parking my car, and you have to go through security. And I didn't want to walk on the lot with like my hair like that. So I had it in a ball cap, but I had, had like short jean shorts and a flannel on. And I remember the security guy was like looking at me. I was like, it's an audition. He goes, all right. He's like, you're going to kill it. I was like, oh, thanks. I need it. And I walked into the room, and I remember there were all these girls there. And I remember looking at everyone, and they all looked pretty. you know, how you normally go for an audition. You do your hair, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking at all, I was like, none of y'all are booking this. Like, I'm booking this. I remember that feeling of confidence. I was like, I'm booking this. And I walked into the room, and as soon as I walked in the room, I took my hat off, and the casting director and the casting assistant were like, well, hello, Noelle. This is a new look. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. She goes, let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it. And she goes, okay. And she's like, that was great. Let's just try it a different way, just for fun. And that's the great right now with how the industry is. It's all mostly self-tapes. So you don't get to be in the room, but being in the room is when you can get the audition, because just getting the audition is like, oh my gosh, that's a huge accomplishment, because there's thousands of submissions you get per role. And when you're in the room, it's like, oh my God, it's magical. And you know, you have to take direction. And it's just this high rush of nerves and energy and stuff. And so yeah, I did the audition, and then I got the call. I think the next day I got the call that I was, you know, that they wanted me for it. And then the table read. So that show, they always have table reads for the episode. And I went in looking nice and professional. And I remember my outfit. I had white jeans and a blue and white striped silk shirt, and did my hair. And I remember walking in, and everyone was kind of like, you know, everyone said hi to each other, and you know, there's Shamar Moore, Joe Montana, and everything. And we had to go around the table. I could tell there's so much to this story. It was so
you
funny.
go for it. It's your show. You know what? You do it.
So, did you ever see the movie Donnie Brasco?
Yes, I did see that. Yes, it's been a while, but I did see that. Yes.
So this is crazy. So I'm sitting there, and the actors, the guest stars, it was me, a guy playing, and two guys playing cops. And one of them, this guy's named Joe. What was his last name? I forget. But so Joe's sitting next to me, and everyone, I've never met these other actors before, but everyone's coming up to Joe being like, oh, it's such an honor. It's such an honor to meet you. And I was like, I was watching this. I'm like, because he's not famous. Like, I didn't know who he was. And I said, who are you? And he goes, my uncle is, they made a movie about my uncle. And I was like, who's your uncle? Yes, you know the movie Donnie Brasco? I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's my uncle. I was like, shut up. So if you go back and watch that episode, the cop that's like asking me questions, his uncle is the guy that Donnie Brasco was made up of, based off of. So I'm sitting there, and I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. And yeah, so we go around. So we're at the table read. We have to say our names. And I said, I'm Noelle Toland, and I'm playing like Junkie, or so I forget. It was a co-star, and everyone just, like, the whole room, it was like 50 people, just start laughing. And we read the scene and whatever, and then it went great. And then when I filmed it on the day, they did all this cool makeup where they caked my lips up, made me look like dehydrated and black under my eyes, and bruises everywhere, and I had to be like tweaking out in the scene. And we shot at this abandoned like building. And I remember like Shamar Moore, I had stuff on my teeth too, like it was all black. And the director, right before we shot, was like Shamar kind of looked at me and was like, and the director said something. I mean, I wouldn't call myself this, but he's like, this girl is like, in real life, she's like a Victoria's Secret model. I was like, okay, that's not me. But Shamar was kind of like, okay, I don't believe you. And so we shot this, and right before, the director told me, he goes, I almost recast you. And I was like, why? And he goes, at the table read, because you looked like a completely different person. And I was thinking about recasting. I was like, oh, I'm glad you didn't. I'm really glad you didn't. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. They were so sweet. Everyone was great to work with. It was just, and I remember after, I was telling you this before we came on air, but after we shot, Joe Montana, we were walking to lunch after, and we had to cross the street, and he like stopped traffic to make sure I could cross the street safely.
I love it too.
It was a lovely show. I mean, everyone,
Mhm.
I can't sing their praises enough. So
Good stuff. No, I love it too. And great experience, no doubt, you can take with you in many different roles out there with, I mean, films and things like that, you know, and definitely awesome to add that just a great musician that you are for an accomplished actress too. At the same time too, I love it so much. Hey, to understand too, you actually had, because I love dogs and you love to have fun. You're such a ball of energy. Do you still have your Wheaton Terrier, Max? Is that still?
no,
No, you
sadly,
don't.
I mean,
Okay.
he was my dog when I was a little kid. We got
Okay.
him when I was 2. He was my best
Mm-hmm.
friend. I mean, it was like we could talk and we didn't have to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm an only child and I grew up in the country,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have any neighbors. So I didn't really have anyone to play with. So my dog was my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I would play teacher. Class, and my dog was my student, and that was one thing we'd play. And I would have like a ruler, and I would point to the the board, and they were going to learn about I don't know, science or like America. And my dog he was so great. He would sit there, Maxwell the Wonder Dog is what we would call him. He would sit there and go, okay.
I love it too, because that's where I tell people we dig deep on this show. And it's one of those things where just you got to do your homework. That's just one thing we pride ourselves in doing too. And honestly, hey, I know what it's all about to lose one of your best friends when it comes to an animal. And man, fantastic enough to have all the pets out there too. And yeah, sometimes you know what, you feel like that's some of your best friends out there too, because they're the only ones that listen sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a pit bull German Shepherd now. She's a rescue. Her name is Velvet. My best friend. I mean, and she's funny too. She likes to sing. So and I might start doing some more TikToks with her because she's so funny. I'll get my guitar and I'll start, and she sings along like, whoa, 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 you know.
I love that too.
She's my best friend. We're inseparable. I love dogs. Are the greatest gift to this world. I'm obsessed with dogs.
Yeah, hey, no pun intended. I'm not a cat person. There's some people that are, but I'm more of a dog person. I've got 2 of them, and they are definitely different makes and models, no doubt about that too, different breeds. But I love each and every one of them too, because I have one that loves to sing by the fence when I come home and drive up every day from the day job.
Really?
We'll get out, we'll say, hey Sky. It's a Siberian Husky that I have, and it's a female. She's about 40 pounds, but she's almost 15 or 16 years old now. She's getting old.
Oh, wow.
She's there. And, you know, you'll just hum something to her or just say a line, and she'll sing right back to you at the fence. Like, it's just.
Really?
And she sits down right there, too. So that's what it reminded me of when I saw the Wheaton Terrier. I was like, I'm going to ask her about that question, too, because I've got one that loves to sing just as well, too. Maybe they'll sing this song to break. No, I'm just kidding. You're an Arrow is the current single across all the digital platforms from Noelle out there. Make sure you guys go check it out if you have not already, too. And, of course, we're going to be played tonight, 10 Mountain Time, KKTC 99.9 True Country out there, too, in Taos, New Mexico, and in Colorado up the I-25 corridor there. Also streaming at hightidecountry.net and powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. Coming back, a word from our friends over there, presented by Bangtail Whiskey and, of course, Honky Tonk Texas. Final segment coming up. Noelle Toland here on the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned. Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish. And back here, Noelle Toland joining us here on the Backstage Pass, again powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com, and of course out there KKTC 99.9 True Country, and out there at hightidecountry.net, presented by our friends over in Honky Tonk Texas and our friends there at Bangtail
whiskey. And with that coming up, bangtail.com or easyliquor.com. Get that as your holiday drink. Drink responsibly. You can mix it with most of your cocktails out there too. And Bangtail, in its now third or fourth year of existence here, and just invaded the Texas market, Live Oak in Nashville, or you can get it out there, of course, Total Wine and Specs too as well. Final segment here. Again, Noelle joining us here. You're an Arrow is the current single out there across all the digital platforms. So I got to ask you, how was Thanksgiving? So kind of get into a little rapid fire here. How was Thanksgiving? Did you guys get all the food you wanted? And also, what are some holiday traditions coming up as Christmas approaches?
Ooh, that was a great question. Thanksgiving was awesome. Yeah, I got all the food in, all the wine.
Okay.
And Christmas traditions. So I bake a lot of cookies. I think that's if I had a hidden talent, that would be it. So Christmas cookies. I still have to put Christmas lights up.
Okay.
And the tree. I haven't done the tree yet, but yeah, there's one thing I loved as a kid was driving around and looking at all the Christmas lights.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure I'm going to be doing some more of that. But the Christmas cookies is at the top of the list. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm showing my daughter that now too. We go down one of the rows here where I live, the streets, and she's like, "Yep, Christmas trees, Daddy, Christmas." So it now put up mine, and I'm thinking about, I might have to go to Home Depot and get some of the ground lights that kind of just you pop out of the box, pop them open, plug them into extension cord, and boom, you're done. I don't like to assemble stuff on the roof. That's just not me. But the tree's up now, so if I go to Home Depot, I'll make it. I don't know those stuffed animal things that just pop out of the box. I've got one that's like a Star Wars character. What was the Master Yoda? It just comes out.
Oh, cool.
It's like an air pump. You stick it in, and it just blows up, and it starts to just glow. I guess you say like a neon light. And so there's a lot of cool things. I want to go spend the money at Home Depot, but she's only 3 years old, and I may surprise her tomorrow.
Oh, I was going to ask how old she is. She's 3.
Yeah, before next year in April. So she's all the Christmas tree lights, Daddy, this, and this. So now it's kind of I got to do something. I may have to plug up something through extension cords and through everything just to put it out there, or run some ground lights down the sidewalk, down the driveway. Just kind of just pull them out of the box and stake them down and just make sure they're there, and just put up a few, almost like the Santa sleigh thing. I was going to ask you about food wise, as far as food goes for Christmas. I know for me, it's like I love enchiladas, like the turkey enchiladas, leftover stuff from Thanksgiving, or if somebody does a turkey for Christmas, they get turkey enchiladas made who are really good at making enchiladas. I'm not, but for those that are, with like the sauce that comes on them too, it's like a gravy, and you put cheese on them.
Yeah.
Is there a Christmas dish that does it for you?
I'm a big fan of side dishes.
Okay.
And my favorite one's probably bacon wrapped dates.
Ooh.
And I make really good ones. They're like, I can just eat all those. I get some goat cheese, and I slice the date in half, take a spoon, fill it with goat cheese, and then you cut the bacon in half, and then you roll them up with a toothpick, and they're super easy to make.
Okay.
And then you just pop them in the oven, and then you flip them halfway through. They're nice and crispy and sweet, and they're really good. Now I'm hungry.
I know. You may have to bring some of those. We get to CRS in the I guess the cave or whatever they put us in, the little aisle there too. Like I said, around at the Omni. If you bring a can of those, I know what's inside that can. I'll already kind of know. So
okay.
Take out 1 or 2, and you sit down with us. We'll do our conversation, and of course, eat some of those too, because we did some on-air food stuff last year, and it turned out pretty good at the Omni too as well, with some different candy and stuff like that. We were drinking some whiskey and all that good stuff. So I got to ask you about this.
Some Bangtail whiskey, and bacon wrapped dates. That sounds like a great.
Let's do that. I'm all for that. Talk to me about next year. I mean, just a few weeks out now from 24. What are you most excited about? A lot of stuff's in the can. New music coming out. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of new music coming out next year. I'm very, very excited about. Lots of new originals that I've already recorded that I'll be releasing. And then I'm also releasing 3 90s country covers.
All right.
Which I'm tickled about. I'm so excited. I'm releasing, and then they're all done. They're all ready. Walk Away Joe.
Okay.
Covered It Matters to Me by Faith Hill. And get ready. You like 90s country, right? I assume.
First in it, yes.
Okay. Watermelon Crawl.
Oh my God. Right from my hometown, the man himself, Tracy Bird from Beaumont, Texas, down here. I just heard that song on Prime Country driving around today, and fantastic enough. I cannot wait to hear Watermelon Crawl. And of course, the other
I'm
two,
obsessed.
too.
I'm obsessed. Like, it doesn't get any better than that.
I love it. That's good stuff.
I played it recently. I played the Hard Rock recently, and
Mhm.
and when I played that song, everyone just went wild. They're like, "Yeah!"
They know that song is a legendary country song from a guy who did it from a small town here in Beaumont, Texas, where I'm from, down here too. There's a question coming off the YouTube channel too. Didn't see this one coming, but I'm going to ask it anyway too. When it comes down to it, ask her. She's doing a Britney Spears cover. Okay, on the flight. Okay,
I love
all
it.
right. Is there
Yes, I'm gonna do "Baby One More Time."
any
Country.
right.
That's a good
Country.
idea.
There you go.
Do "Baby One More Time" and make it country.
I love that. It's good stuff right there. Hey, do you remember? This may take some thought. It may not. Do you remember the first song you ever sang live on stage?
Yes. Well, just by myself or in choir?
Doesn't matter. Could be choir. Could be by yourself.
Okay, I actually have video of it. It was my first big solo. I played Interplanet Janet in Schoolhouse Rock
Okay.
when I was in 5th grade. And that was my big solo. And
Mhm.
I also, and I remember it was like Mars is red and Jupiter's blue. Saturn shows off its rings. Uranus is built on a funny tilt. Neptune is its twin. And little Pluto is the farthest planet from our sun. And then it goes into a key change and it's like,
Mhm.
ooh. But yeah, that was my first big break, I'd like to say. And my dad helped me make my outfit. So we went to Goodwill and found these velour blue, shiny blue pants, bell bottoms.
Okay.
And then we got a long sleeve red shirt and cut out aluminum foil into big stars and glued them on the shirt with glitter pins as well.
I love that. Descriptive, no doubt, too. And you remember the outfit just as well as you do the song. That is.
It's a funny story of that. My first big thing, they had auditions for the main cast. So Schoolhouse Rock, I haven't seen it in so long, but there's main characters. And I didn't make the cut. And I was devastated. I mean, crying. I just felt like a failure. And I'm 10 years old. Just so sad. I remember going to my teacher, Mrs. Turner, after it was afternoon, so it was after school. I was just beside myself, and she was so sweet. I'm a big supporter of teachers because they don't get the credit they deserve, and she was an amazing teacher and got me through. I just felt like my world crashed. I worked so hard and really wanted to be a part of that, but then it turns out there's always a silver lining. So I got to play a different kind of character. So, and I wouldn't have got to play Interplanet Janet if I was part of the main crew or the main cast. So that was a big turning point for me when I was 10.
I love it too. The story is amazing too. It's something you don't hear about every day too. You're so multi-talented. I cannot wait for this new music to come out. 2024, the 3 covers from the 90s, especially Watermelon Crawl, Walk Away Joe, and all these great songs you're going to put out coming up here too as well. I hope to see you in Nashville when we get there in February for the CRS dates. Come sit down with us, chat with us, and talk, and maybe bring some of that candy, those desserts by, and we'll mix it with a little bit of Bangtail whiskey. Again, it's Noelle Toland. You're an arrow across all the digital platforms, and make sure you guys go check her out on social media if you have not already. Hey, thanks for being with me today and putting everything together very quickly. And hey, best of luck with everything. Godspeed. Happy holidays and Happy New Year coming up. We'll see you in Nashville.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun, and I can't wait to meet you in person next year.
Looking forward to it. Noelle Toland here on the Backstage Pass, KKTC 99.9 True Country, weeknights at 10 Mountain Time. Of course, always catch us at hightidecountry.net and powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com too as well, and presented by our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. And, of course, Honky Tonk Texas. We're back tomorrow. Will Wesley going to join us, rocking around the Christmas tree, his rendition of the great Brenda Lee song too as well. We'll talk to him, do a little matinee show there, and may have a surprise or two coming up tomorrow afternoon, as it's Happy December coming up tomorrow there, 2023. We'll see you guys here on the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.